rather overwhelmed and humbled. I'm very humbled and very grateful.
In 2009, a shy 47-year-old woman walked onto the Britain's Got Talent stage, and within seconds, Susan Boyle's voice stunned the world. Her unforgettable audition of I Dreamed a Dream turned her into an overnight global star, selling millions of albums and amassing a fortune of over $45 million. But then, she vanished. No more albums, no more interviews, no more spotlight. So, what really happened to Susan Boyle? Why did the woman who inspired millions suddenly disappear from fame? Today, we reveal the truth behind her rise, her struggles, and where the legendary singer is now. Susan Boyle became living proof that you should never judge a book by its cover. Born on April 1st, 1961, in West Lothian, Scotland, she was the youngest of 9 children. Her father, Patrick, worked as a miner and part-time singer, while her mother, Bridget, was a shorthand typist. Life wasn't easy. Susan was often bullied at school and found comfort only in music. She sang in her parish choir and took part in local talent shows, quietly nurturing a dream she didn't yet dare to chase. Her mother always encouraged her to audition for Britain's Got Talent, but Susan believed she was too old. It wasn't until her mother's death in 2007, after years of caring for her, that she finally gathered the courage to try. In 2008, she stepped onto the Britain's Got Talent stage in Glasgow and changed everything. Her performance of I Dreamed a Dream stunned the judges and brought the audience to its feet. Amanda Holden called it the biggest wake-up call ever, a reminder not to judge by appearances. Within days, Susan's audition went viral, with millions watching her story unfold online. Though she finished second, her journey had only begun. She toured with other contestants, released her debut album, and inspired millions around the world, proving that dreams have no age limit. Susan Boyle's debut album, I Dreamed a Dream, released in November 2009, broke records around the world, selling over 2 million copies in its first week and becoming the fastest-selling debut album ever by a female artist. Her journey to that moment was anything but easy. The youngest of 10 children, Susan was born when her mother was 47, and her family was already struggling to make ends meet. Her birth was nearly fatal, and a brief lack of oxygen left doctors believing she had a lifelong learning disability. A diagnosis she would later discover was wrong. School was especially cruel. Teachers punished her for learning slowly, and classmates taunted her with the nickname Susie Simple. The constant bullying and humiliation crushed her confidence and made education a daily battle. In a later interview, she reflected, "I was a slow learner. I just picked things up more slowly than others, and in a system that wants to rush on, you get left behind." Stepping onto the Britain's Got Talent stage decades later was Susan's quiet triumph, her way of proving every cruel voice from her past wrong. Her stunning performance became her greatest act of defiance. On her first album, she included You'll See, a powerful message to those who once mocked her, reminding the world that she had not only survived, but triumphed. But Susan Boyle's journey was never simple. In 2011, she revealed a heartbreaking truth about her childhood. Beyond her misunderstood learning difficulties, she had also suffered from epilepsy. Though doctors diagnosed it early, neither her parents nor teachers knew how to manage the condition. Her frequent seizures made school a nightmare. She often fainted during lessons, only to wake up to classmates mocking her and calling her names. At home, her parents alternated between overprotecting her and leaving her to cope alone. Her father dismissed her struggles, calling her too sensitive. Because everyone assumed her epilepsy was linked to her supposed learning disability, it was never properly treated. Unsurprisingly, Susan left school with few qualifications and struggled to find work. She bounced from one government program to another and briefly worked as a trainee cook at West Lothian College, a job that lasted just 6 months. Despite her hardships, she found small moments of happiness performing at local venues, a quiet outlet for her pain and passion. It wasn't until a devastating personal loss years later that Susan finally gathered the courage to chase the dream she had kept buried for so long. Despite a difficult family life, Susan Boyle always chose forgiveness and kindness. She grew up with little and never saw herself as a romantic, once famously saying during her Britain's Got Talent run, "Never been married, never been kissed." Her humility shaped much of her life. After her father's death, her siblings gradually left the family's modest four-bedroom council house, leaving behind their frail mother. Susan stayed, caring for her and her beloved cat, Pebbles. Even after achieving global fame and earning millions, Susan never left her childhood home. She continues to live a quiet, simple life in West Lothian. A neighbor once recalled that when her mother, Bridget, passed away, Susan locked herself inside for days, unable to answer the phone or open the door. A devout Roman Catholic, Susan sings in her church choir and spends her free time visiting elderly parishioners. She once described her life before fame as mundane and routine. In 2012, she was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome, a revelation she shared publicly the following year, along with her ongoing struggle with epilepsy. Known for her sharp wit, Susan once joked in an interview, "Knowing my luck, I'd go on a date and you'd find my limbs scattered around Blackburn dustbins." In 2013, she also voiced her pride as a Scot by supporting the Better Together campaign, saying, "I'm a proud, patriotic Scot, passionate about my heritage and country, but I am not a nationalist. We've kept our identity while being part of Britain." Susan Boyle has always lived a quiet, disciplined life. She doesn't drink and has managed her type 2 diabetes since being diagnosed in June 2013. The following year, media reports revealed that she had a boyfriend, described as her first, someone close to her own age. Then, in 2022, Susan suffered a minor stroke, which she later spoke about during her emotional return to Britain's Got Talent on June 4, 2023, standing once again on the stage where her journey began. Many wonder what keeps Susan in her modest childhood home to this day. Perhaps it's the comfort of familiarity, the same walls that once heard her practice songs before the world ever knew her name. On Britain's Got Talent, her plain clothes and shy demeanor drew laughter at first. But when she began singing "I Dreamed a Dream," the world fell silent. Her voice earned a thunderous standing ovation and turned mockery into awe. Within a week, her audition went viral, reaching over 100 million views online. Even her earlier performances, like her 1999 rendition of "Cry Me a River," resurfaced and went viral. Though she finished second to the dance group Diversity, Susan had already achieved something greater. She had proven that dreams have no age limit. Her debut album, "I Dreamed a Dream," released in November 2009, shattered records, selling over 2 million copies in its first week and becoming the fastest-selling debut album by a female artist. It later became the best-selling album worldwide that year, surpassing 9 million copies sold. Billboard confirmed it had the highest first-week sales for any debut female artist since SoundScan began tracking data in 1991, and Susan earned a Guinness World Record, not just for those achievements, but for becoming the oldest artist to top the UK charts with a debut album. Susan Boyle's powerful voice and remarkable story captured hearts across the world, especially in America. When she appeared on America's Got Talent, she was greeted not with doubt or ridicule, but with admiration. The woman once underestimated by millions was now celebrated for her strength and grace. No longer a bystander in her own life, Susan had become the star of it. Following the success of her debut album, she released The Gift in 2010 and Someone to Watch Over Me in 2011. After a brief pause, she returned in 2012 with Standing Ovation, The Greatest Songs from the Stage, followed by Hope, 2014, and A Wonderful World, 2016. Each record showcased her unmatched voice and emotional depth. After years of non-stop work, Susan stepped back to focus on her health and well-being. Many assumed her career had quietly ended, until 2019, when she surprised everyone with 10, an album celebrating her decade-long journey in music. It was another triumphant reminder of her resilience. Yet behind the spotlight, there was a quiet melancholy. Fans noticed the change. Her smile seemed softer, her energy gentler. Despite her fortune and fame, she longed for peace over publicity. Reflecting on her work, Susan said simply, "I had a lot of fun making the album, and I hope the public likes it as much as I enjoyed it." But her journey wasn't without pain. Britain's Got Talent had launched her into global stardom, but the pressure behind the scenes was crushing. The intense training, endless interviews, and media intrusion proved overwhelming. Just after the show's finale, Susan, emotionally and physically drained, was hospitalized for exhaustion. Reports later confirmed that she had suffered a breakdown. Rumors spread that she had lashed out backstage, prompting police to check on her at her London flat before she was admitted to a mental health facility. The scandal ignited public debate. Britain's media regulator, Ofcom, even considered investigating the show for putting ratings above contestants' well-being, though the plan was ultimately dropped. For Susan, the experience was life-changing. It taught her to slow down, though that was easier said than done amid a packed touring schedule. Still, despite the strain, she continued performing, proving once again that her courage was just as powerful as her voice. In 2013, Susan Boyle faced another turning point in her life, one that was both painful and freeing. That year, she finally received the correct diagnosis for the learning difficulties that had followed her since childhood. For decades, she had believed she suffered brain damage from a complication at birth, but doctors revealed that wasn't true. Instead, she was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome, a condition on the autism spectrum. The revelation brought mixed emotions. It was heartbreaking to learn how misunderstood she had been for so long, yet liberating to finally know the truth. Looking back on her school years, Susan admitted she had always felt unlucky, convinced that she wasn't as capable as others. The new diagnosis gave her the opportunity to receive the proper care and understanding she had been denied as a child. In an interview with The Guardian, Susan reflected on how deeply the brain-damaged label had hurt her. "It always felt cruel and unfair," she said. "Deep down, I knew I was like everyone else. I just had my own way of doing things." She also hoped her story would inspire others to show more compassion toward neurodivergent people, saying, "I think people will treat me better now because they'll have a greater understanding of who I am and why I do what I do." Her honesty resonated with fans and critics alike. The response was overwhelmingly supportive, a testament to Susan's courage and authenticity. But the same year brought another challenge. Doctors diagnosed her with type 2 diabetes, forcing her to give up her only indulgence, chocolate. Adjusting to a new diet while managing autism wasn't easy, yet she handled it with quiet determination. Then, when the COVID-19 pandemic arrived years later, Susan once again found herself isolated, staying home for more than 2 years to protect her health. The solitude delayed her musical comeback, but reminded her once again of the quiet strength that had carried her through every stage of her extraordinary journey. Behind Susan Boyle's fame and fortune, life at home was far from easy. In 2010, after years of hard work, she bought herself a new house, a symbol of success and independence. But her dream home soon turned into a nightmare when local vandals began harassing her, throwing rocks, attempting to break in, and even setting fire to paper outside her property. Distressed and unable to feel safe, Susan eventually returned to her humble childhood home, giving the newer house to her niece. Then came a devastating blow. Her beloved sister Bridie, the one person who had always stood by her through fame and criticism, lost her battle with cancer at 73. Bridie had been Susan's closest confidant, defending her against cruel comments about her appearance and keeping her grounded as fame consumed her life. After her death, Susan took in Bridie's daughter, finding comfort in family while struggling through grief. But tragedy soon gave way to tension. Susan's success had made her a millionaire, and money created a painful rift among her siblings. The conflict began when she gave her brother Jerry £75,000 to save his struggling business. Her other siblings objected, and when Susan claimed that Jerry had threatened suicide if she didn't help, the family fell apart. Jerry publicly accused her of lying, and the two stopped speaking. It wasn't until 2016, after Susan suffered a public breakdown at Heathrow Airport, that Jerry rushed to her side. Their reunion marked the end of years of silence, a moment of reconciliation born from compassion rather than pride. Yet Susan's health battles continued. In May 2022, she revealed that she had suffered a minor stroke, which affected her speech and made performing difficult. Her emotional comeback took place in June 2023 when she returned to the Britain's Got Talent stage to sing alongside the West End cast of Les Miserables. Last April, I suffered a minor stroke, and I thought it would be crazy to be back on stage. But I've done it, she said proudly. Later, she shared on Instagram that she had undergone months of speech therapy to sing I Dreamed a Dream once more. Today, despite ongoing health challenges, Susan continues to perform when she can, maintaining her quiet, dignified life away from fame's glare. She has admitted that not having children remains her greatest regret, but happiness has found her in other ways. In 2016, she mentioned casually chatting with an American doctor, and reports later hinted at a steady relationship. Though she keeps her partner's identity private, it's said that he joins her for special occasions like birthdays. Still, Susan has no plans to marry, content instead to live simply, surrounded by music, faith, and the peace she fought so hard to find. What do you think is the most inspiring part of Susan Boyle's story? Her rise to fame, her perseverance through hardship, or her decision to live life on her own terms? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more inspiring stories about the stars you thought you knew.